Dallas Cowboys Executive Vice President Stephen Jones. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, guys. Great to be on with you.
Now, we talked to Jerry about 2 hours ago and asked him if there was any questions to ask you in case he didn't see you. He said that you've kept him on a short financial leash, and he would like to know if he can have a raise.
I think it's the other way around. I feel like I'm 60 and still asking Dad for an allowance.
Are you at a point where this the culmination of everything that you and Will McClay and the group have all been putting together and scouting and getting all this to the roster cut downs with McCarthy and everything, that, all right, here we are, now it's time to see it play out? Is that kind of like the excitement starting to bud for you?
Well, there's no question. It started early this week in terms of tension and, if you will, a little anxiety because, we really hadn't gotten to see, all of our off-season plans and all of our strategies work out. And, starting on offense, I know Mike is fired up, but feeling, I think he's got a little tension in terms of getting back to calling the plays. And I know everybody's fired up about that. And then look at some of the new guys that we've added. When you look at a guy like a Cooks on the offensive side of the ball, certainly going to be great to see TP even get more touches, watching Mr. Pollard go to work and, seeing how Dak, gets into rhythm with Mike and how we move the football as an offense. And certainly some rookies in there on offense. Schoonmaker's been coming on strong, and how he'll complement Ferguson and Hendershot. So, it's really just a good group. And see if Tolbert continues to make the advances he's made in terms of what his offseason. He's had a great offseason, and hopefully that'll translate to the field. And of course, defensively, having a guy like Mozzie, Stephon Gilmore added to that defense, and just really think, that we can take the next step as a defense. Certainly having Dan now for 3 years, the guys know what to expect. I know what he's trying to get accomplished, but certainly I think we have a chance to be one of the top defenses in the league if certainly things play out the way we think they can.
And, Stephen, I want to go back to the first thing you said there about McCarthy calling
getting
the
a
offense.
Raise?
Well, not the raise part, because
okay.
That'll be in due time. But the McCarthy calling the plays, I think me and a lot of Cowboys fans out there, I know the show is and our station is for sure, that we're like, okay, what is it going to be? Is it going to be, man, that offense is completely different from anything we've ever seen, or do you think it's going to be more subtle and guys like Broadus are going to know what's going on?
I think you'll see some things that I think make it more Dak friendly in terms of what they're encouraging Dak to do. Sometimes the best thing to do, my son taught me this term, is just take the profit and don't necessarily try to go for the big jackpot. Is sometimes the best play you can make is the check down that gets you 6, 7, 8 yards and keep moving the football. And I think Mike and Coach Shoddy have built that in to the offense. So, that it's, Dak's not comfortable fitting it in a tight window in some cases. Sometimes it is the best thing to do is just a check down, get some yards, and play for the next down. But overall, I just think, you'll see a lot of things that are, that are similar, and then you'll see some wrinkles that are different. And then, the bigger thing, too, is just utilizing the personnel. I mean, you look at a guy like a Cooks, really brings, a dimension of taking the top off, and what he can do for Dak in this offense, I think can be special. And then I think Mike and Shoddy just watching, throughout training camp and on into the preseason, the packages that might come with a Deuce Vaughn or a Turpin. I think they want to utilize all the guys who are dressed. So I'm excited to see it play out, and I know our fans are ready to see it, but we really like this football team and ready to go to work.
Now, you've given us some really insightful answers on how the salary cap works in the past, and I'm just out of my own curiosity, since you guys are in the numbers and understand it far better than I do, is we saw Herbert got a new deal, we saw Burrow got a new deal, and all of the organization has talked about how Dak is going to be here a long time. With the price of quarterbacks continuing to go up, would it not be advantageous to your cap to try to sign Dak to the extension right now, even though he's still got 2 years left?
Yeah, I mean, I think the best thing for us at this point, just looking at it, we've certainly digested it. If you wait one more year, and then, the key for us is just going to be, spreading out, how we pay that. And most of these guys have, some long-term type deals, 5+ years. And, I think if we can do that, it'll be not only advantageous for the team as a whole, but advantageous for Dak so that we can continue, to put the type of players, give him the offensive lineman he needs to protect him, give him the weapons that he needs to move the football, and certainly have a defense that can get the ball back for him, whether it's downs or just turning the ball over, which certainly our defense the last 2 years, I think first time in many years that a team's done it 2 years in a row, lead the league in takeaways. All those things are important, and no one understands that better than Dak in terms of knowing that we got to get a guy like Micah Parsons signed. I mean, obviously our eyes are glued to not only a Herbert deal and a Burrow deal, but also a Bosa deal, as we've got one of the great defensive players in the league as well. So, all those things are things that we keep our eyes on. We're always thinking about how to manage and make sure that, we can keep, while we do have some very unique, skilled players, keep those guys together.
Now, you brought up the offensive line. If the worst-case scenario played out and neither Tyler nor Tyron were available Sunday night, how would you envision the left side of the offensive line looking for the Cowboys?
Well, we've got a guy in Shuma Adoba who's had experience in this league, and he's ready to go. He's had a good week of practice. They're at the left guard spot, and then certainly if we've got to go to the tackle spot, then, our draft pick, Austin Richards, is I thought he did a real nice job there with our team, and, he'd be a guy who would step up, and, we'll get to see what he's all about real quick when he's going against, when it's prime time and going against the New York Giants.
When you were also talking about Mozzie just a few minutes ago, and I kind of wanted to dive in a little more on what you saw in college versus what you saw in training camp, and what might be the difference on a Sunday night for him, because a lot of people were kind of disappointed in the guy. They're like, "Oh, there's no sacks," and I was like, "Well, were you expecting that from him in the preseason, especially considering what he does?" But what is the expectation the Cowboys have for him?
Yeah, I don't think when we drafted Mozzie, there was, you look at his full body of work at Michigan. I mean, first and foremost, when we get a guy like a Hankins and a Mozzie, what we're trying to do is stop and run. I mean, if we had a weakness on our defense, it would be stopping the run. And, when we thrive is when we get the offenses into second and long, third and long. And that was the vision for Mozzie. What we did see in Mozzie, too, that, encouraged us, is we saw an athlete there that if you transition him, which he did not do at Michigan, he was a first and second down player. He played in a square stance, parallel stance, feet were parallel. Dan, of course, does want him getting off the ball. And so Mozzie's, certainly developing in that area that he can transition into a pass rush, gain an edge, and use his strength and athletic ability to get a pass rush and to disrupt, if not get to the passers. So he came along week by week and just kept getting better, and we're real pleased that he's going to give us anything and everything that we had hoped he could do for us here as we start the season.
I know they're not in y'all's division, but they are in the NFC, and there's some hype behind them. Did you get an opportunity to watch Thursday Night Football? And if so, what was your takeaway from the Detroit Lions upset win?
Well, first of all, I had the pleasure of having Dan Campbell come through our organization. And, I mean, the man is intense. You certainly see that in the personality of his football team, the Detroit Lions. I mean, this guy is a fierce competitor, and doesn't surprise me a bit that they're having the success that they had. As we all know, they started off really slow, but, boy, he kept everybody fighting and dialed in, and made a hard run at the playoffs last year. But he's just got a football team that's built after his personality. And he certainly has, the same expectations of himself, and he has the same expectations for his team. And you see that in the Lions, and certainly they're a formidable football team that should just keep getting better.
When Dan Campbell was here, did he talk in amazing sayings just like he does now in Detroit?
Yes, he was always a good man in terms of being vocal and really fit the personality and culture of our team. And we've always kept our eyes. We've made a run or two at Dan in terms of when he was just getting started in the coaching profession to maybe come back and be a tight ends coach. But it seems like there was always a little better opportunity maybe to advance his career, which certainly he did so well at. My hat's off to him, and have nothing but great feelings for what Dan's been able to accomplish, but not surprised in the NFL.
Man, that's such a, and now, yeah, he's got his place right now. And speaking of culture, we were talking about Micah. We saw the video of him taking Mozzie to go work out and going through some stuff. And I keep thinking, like, it feels like Micah wants to create and be the culture of this Cowboys team. Is that kind of the sentiment, like what your aspiration for him is? Is that what you feel whenever you're around Micah?
Well, he's just taken another step this year. I know one of the biggest things Dak's looking forward to playing the Giants is not having to go against Micah every day in practice, because he's so damn disruptive to our offense, when you're going one-on-ones, which is, what we did for a better part of training camp. And, he just disrupts everything. He disrupts, the offense and what we're trying to do, and he's just a hard guy to block. So, as Dak was telling us, he said we won't see any more difficult than what we've seen with Micah and our defense there. So he's ready to see something new. And obviously Micah's setting a tone over there in terms of, getting after it. And I do think he's got a chance to be, one of the great players in the NFL, and certainly have a legacy in terms of this league and the way he plays the game.
Well, we appreciate the time, as always. Obviously, looking forward to Sunday night. And then if you need something else, you get to talk to us again on Monday. So congratulations for that as well.
Well, sounds great, guys. I look forward to this season, and hopefully we get this thing off to a good start.